Hi, my name's Melissa Wortel and I'm the Assistive Technology Officer at Griffith University. Today I'm going to talk about moving from on-campus to online. I'd like to start with Acknowledgement of Country. Griffith University acknowledges traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting and pays respects to elders past, present, and extends that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So first, a little bit about me. So I started in this role about 10 years ago when it was decided that we would like to trial an assistive technology position that sits outside the disability service area. So this position has the advantage of a few things. So we've got two departments looking into solutions, and we can also look at specific solutions and also university-wide solutions. So my job sits within digital solutions, and I work really collaboratively with the accessibility and disability team. So I say I'm an honorary member of their team, and it's really because I work more closely with them often than my team within digital solutions. So here at Griffith University, prior to COVID, we have had 5 physical campuses and 1 digital campus. On all these campuses, we have assistive technology labs, each with a range of hardware and software. In terms of software, we've got things like JAWS and Zoom Text and Read&Write. And then in terms of hardware, we have magnifiers, we have electronic desks and blinds and doors. So within that then, so users can electronically book these labs and access those labs. So we've made the student independent. They're in charge of booking their lab and accessing those labs. The labs, for the most part, sit within the library, so they can access those labs at any time the library is open. We also have a range of software and hardware spread throughout the campuses. So again, we're looking at JAWS and Zoom Text and Read&Write. Just on Read&Write there, we have a site-wide license, so we can have Read&Write spread through all our staff, student computers, PC and Macs, and it also extends to students at home machines. We also have some hardware within our schools. We have some magnifiers. We have a magnifier. We have a student studying jewellery making, so they use your magnifier for that. And we also have some scope pads within science. So the scope pad looks like an iPad, and it sits on top of a microscope to help the student see what's on the slide below. So 2020 hit, and which path were we going to take? The path forward really became unclear. We had set up and we're doing well with assistive technology here at Griffith, but how were we going to take that home? How were we going to continue to assist our students? And how do we move the assistive technology that we have here at home? And I guess what we pride ourselves here at Griffith is that we're really able to trial and test solutions. Because of my positions, we often know ahead of time, sometimes 6 months ahead of time, what students are coming. So we can work with these students and really get a good solution for them so they can hit the ground running. We'd already started the trimester, and so we now had to have a solution straight away for those students to keep going. Trimester 1 wasn't going to stop, and so how do we move forward? In addition to that, we look at budgets and resources. Prior to 2020, budgets within universities and the like were already decreasing. Project funds were decreasing, and so 2020, and then there was pretty much an almost stop on budgets and project funds. So we needed to look at how can we be more resourceful, and what do we do in terms of supporting these students. So I guess it was that we were able then to take a step back and look, okay, well, what software do we have? There's now a lot of accessibility features within software that we have, and the software that's coming in, and the assistive software we already had. Are we best using that to our ability? Are there underutilized accessibility features within that software that we can use? So that was our aim going forward. We had great assistance from our suppliers. Suppliers really got on board quickly, and I guess the fact that I've been in this position for a few years now, I've built up a great relationship with a lot of our suppliers. So they came on board and said, right, what can we do? You have this software at home. We can allow our students during COVID to have this software temporarily installed on their machines. And not just those suppliers, it was a range of assistive tech hardware and software suppliers. So basically we looked at, and we didn't just choose any option, I guess. We had to basically look at, because we didn't want to choose an option that the students would no longer be able to use. after COVID. So if we chose something that would say, yes, this is a great option, the students love it, and then at the end of COVID we say, sorry, we can't afford that, we're not going down that track. So we looked at what software we already had. So one example was we use JAWS and Zoom text here. So there's a new product that has come out called Fusion, which is a combination of both. So we were able to use those, obtain that Fusion license and have a look at that software and give that out to our students. And so we had the benefit of testing non-university software at no cost. So we could see down the track, is this software we need to seriously consider? So how did we get this software home? So we had to look at creating clear and accessible install instructions for our students. So students then were given the option, could they install it themselves? Could they install it with the help of another person? Or did they need a staff member with COVID measures in place help to install that software? So these were the options that we gave our students, and for the most part, that worked well. Griffith also came on early, in particular in the student computing area, with a project called Project Kool-Aid. So as we were all at home and nobody was in the labs, machines were coming out of those labs. And so the project was set up to have those machines put into the student home. So students could apply that had no or old equipment, and they could take them home. Through my dealings with the accessibility disability area and IT, we're able to fast track this process for students with disabilities. So it also meant that if they needed the software, we could get the software on the machine before that computer went home. So as I said before, we looked at what software we had. So as I said, we have Read&Write here. And so we really looked more at Read&Write in the PC and the Mac versions. And also there's a Chrome extension that if you haven't had a chance to check out, please do. It's a free extension and it's really got some nice features. You can use PDFs and the web and online suite of Microsoft tools. So, please, if you get a chance, have a look at that. We also, a couple of years ago, went over to Microsoft here at Griffith. And, we're really looking at, okay, what does this have? What sort of features have Microsoft rolled out? So there's a lot of nice tools within Microsoft. So as you're all aware, or you may not be, there's a desktop and online version of Word and Outlook and things like that. Unfortunately, the accessibility features on both of these systems are not the same. So the online version has much more rich features and much more developed. So, but they both have, the immersive reader. So we're looking at page color and line focus and the read aloud functions, which is features that a lot of students and staff are quite valuable to them. There's also dictate and translate. So whilst these appear more so in the online version, they will come to the desktop version. The only issue I guess I have with a lot of things with Microsoft is that one, it's not a blanket rollout. So you may get the feature and 3 to 6 months later, the person next to you may get it. They can also remove features with little to no notice. So you might be using a great feature and then next time you turn your computer on, the feature's gone. But in saying that, look, they're really looking at their accessibility features, and if they take something out, it often means they have a plan and are rolling out a better feature in the future, if not already. So let's talk about challenges. Obviously, 2020 has come along with its own set of challenges. The biggest challenges I think we faced was firstly among communications methods. We're used to seeing students face-to-face and being able to, build up that rapport with them so we could, and sit with them and see, okay, does this work? Does this not work? So we were able, a lot of trust, I guess, in the fact that these students are actually, able to do a lot of this testing and trialling on their own. There was also a massive sense of urgency in task completion. As I said before, we were in the middle of a trimester. We didn't have a chance to trial and test too much stuff out. So, and students needed to be able to access areas straight away. This put extra pressures on staff and really that lack of research before a student was rolled out. Solution. So in addition to that, we've got different sorts of technology at home. I don't know about you, I'm a family of 5, I had kids at home, and so we really had to juggle Wi-Fi, who was going to be on at times, who was going to, be using that Wi-Fi. We also look at the age of the machine. Can your machine take assistive technology? Are you able to connect up to your Collaborate or lecture session from home? And then to their level of IT experience. Students have gone from attending a lecture in person to having and getting onto that lecture at home, and what if they have a question, and how does that all work? So really a lot of challenges around students, accessing university from their home. I just want to just tell you a bit of a story about a staff member we had, which I guess goes through what I've just been speaking about. So I originally installed Dragon for a client in 2018. It was a Griffith owned PC, which was taken home during COVID. And after a couple of months, it stopped working. So there'd been an update for Dragon since the software had been initially installed, which they were eligible for. So I sent out the instructions. They tried installing the software, but for those who've installed Dragon before may know that Dragon likes to throw a curveball or two on installation. But they had issues again finalising that installation. I created additional instructions to assist them, but the installation still failed. They contacted our IT department for assistance, but unfortunately they were also unsuccessful in sorting those issues. I requested she come on site so I could have a look at the machine. However, as she had a desktop, not overly easy to bring it back on campus, and due to the campus lockdown at the time, we would have also required approval from various levels of management. I organised with my manager to go on site and look at the issues firsthand. The issue was rectified but came back a few weeks later. I was able to go back out again and this time solve the issue permanently. Well, hopefully. This shows that we now need to extend our flexibility when dealing with students. It's not going to be and never has been a one-size-fits-all. The instructions that work for others just wouldn't work for this staff member. How else can we do this thinking is now what's required as we move away from our standard university environment. Let me just say though, it's unrealistic to be able to visit all students and staff at their homes, but should not be ruled out when all other paths have been exhausted. Captioning. So to move on now, captioning has been growing and growing at Griffith over the past few years. We've really tried to extend what we have here, and so 2020 has really been a changing phase through. So we needed to look at areas that in the past with Collaborate and the like that were uncaptionable areas, they now needed to be captioned. So how do we do that? How do we take lectures and tutorials that are no longer in line and the captioner can't be there? How do we, bring those two together? And we're now dealing with lecturers using perhaps Teams or Stream or Echo or a range of different software presentation modes available. How are we going to caption that? So it's the lecturers learning a new system, it's having that, how does that captioning work within that system, and then how do these students access that captioning from within those models? So a lot to learn in a short space of time and a lot of information to get out. So as you can imagine, a lot of frustration, but the team behind the captioning has worked really hard and have really great methods and instructions in place. So I think has been a very smooth transition over to this new era of captioning here at Griffith. In addition to that, early on in the system, the learning and teaching community came together and formed groups of like areas together, forming a COVID action group. Initially, this group were meeting almost every day, if not every day, and they still meet a few times a week. So they're looking at all areas of learning and teaching. So we're looking at course delivery and setup. We're looking at lecture delivery, how to best support our lecturers going forward. How do they check? Is it accessible? How do they, get their course materials ready so that all students can access information? And has really been a great reset for lecturers and tutors and the like to say, okay, how can I better set my course up in the future so that it is accessible and I don't have to keep recreating stuff and material so that it's accessible for all. Exams was another issue that they have done a lot of work in, students' online exams. They're different pieces. We've looked at different pieces of software to assist our students, and staff in making these exams accessible. And if you've got a student, that needs extra time, how is that going to work within that software? Again, this group has what am I trying to say here? Has really come a long way and has really helped our learning and teaching community move forward. So moving forward to 2021, is it going to be different? I, for one, completely hope so. But how do we do we need to change our focus now on how we incorporate assistive technology into the university environment? We didn't think that at the beginning of this year, Pathways 14, that we would be online. But look how much we've all learned in such a short space of time. We're all attending Zoom meetings. We're all at home or at work, or a combination of the both. So I think going forward, yes, I think students will come back to campus, but yes, I think there'll also be a large portion done online. So I guess marrying those two together, and how do we, better support and make sure our students have the assistive technology that they require at home as well. So supporting students has always been our number one priority here, and it will continue to be so into 2021. And I guess we will continue those different communication methods, with our students, what's working. And now that I think they have a better idea of what's happening, we have a better idea of what's happening, we can navigate this new path of communication with them so that we're all on the same page, and they've got better chance to, okay, this worked but this didn't, and we've got a number of solutions now that we can offer our students. So future research. So I thought we're at Griffith here, we're always trying to be on the cutting edge, I guess, of innovative solutions. We're always on the lookout, and to me at the beginning of this year, we'd come so far. I thought, great, we're in a great place. Griffith's going really well. We've got all these solutions, and then I guess we get thrown a massive curveball, and we now need to look at new solutions, which is super exciting for me because this is what I love to do. But I guess it gives our students now the chance to trial new solutions and give us feedback so we can grow Griffith even further, and the assistive technology department, so we can determine whether future solutions are viable, and we can really test to make the student experience at home and at university the best they can be. Thank you all for your time. That's the end of my presentation. If you want to contact me, my email address is m.wortel, WORTEL, @griffith.edu.au, and I'm happy to answer any questions offline. Thank you very much.